Welcome to the 14th edition of Saturday Smackdown. I slept later than I planned on. Um, it's really hard to want to do edited videos when I guess it's more frustrating to see a lack of engagement on that kind of content because you actually sit there and more often than not write a script and gather up clips or screenshots, and it's just it's like more work for even more of an irritation when people don't check it out. So, you know, it's funny too because there are a lot of people who say that someone should just make stuff because they want to. Um, and that's how I feel about when I do my show, when I do my other. I guess yeah, when I do the show, I do the news videos, but it's just I guess after a certain amount of time, it becomes really difficult to just keep having that same pattern repeat itself. Someone that makes the content people don't watch, make more content people don't watch. Just get sick of it. So that's why you probably won't see an edited video this month. I'm just tired of people not engaging with my stuff. I don't know. It just feels like the internet. Um, and I said before that people look at content creators kind of like slaves a little bit. They always want a regular person. And let me clarify that. So if you look at a lot of the channels on this website, like TYT, for example. And I've been getting, I've been sick of them since the year before last. But for example, they're the kind of people who it would be a lot easier for them to just pump out edited stuff because they have a whole team of people. They have Jank that sits in front of the computer or rather the camera, and then these behind the scenes people, one of whom edits the videos. It's the same thing with Jimmy, right? It's just the same. Like a lot of these people have a team or at least some other person that does a lot of this stuff for them, whether that's editing a video or various things like that. By the way, I'll always remember one of the most humorous things ever written was having someone ask me, "Do I know how to edit videos?" Um, on a stream after the first video they commented on was an edited video of me responding to some commentator, and I was just thinking it was just the dumbest thing. I was like, do you believe that I just have the a magic ability to make my screen turn into somebody else? Just people don't even think when they write stuff. Yeah, it's really sad that the I guess that things have turned out the way they have. It's really funny how I always say that people online like to psychoanalyze someone, which they do. They like to go over to somebody's video and act like they know them and they've sat them down and try to they've done that a lot of times. It's really annoying. But I would fully admit that there are various experiences that someone can have that can have a I guess lasting negative effect on them. But the issue with that is when you start to admit that things that you have experienced have had some negative impact, you have people who will twist it into I guess meaning that there's just like something wrong with you. And that's always one of the biggest issues I've had with a lot of these online romance commentators. They always try to act like there's something wrong with you just because you're not with a woman, even though there are plenty of chicks who are with a man that we know for fact have all kind of issues and you know mental hangups. So that's something else that really annoys me. Just people, doing this analyzation stuff is really irritating. But I would say the two things that have had like the most negative impact on me probably are like a lot of the voice actor stuff. Because when you keep not hiring, but you keep like agreeing to work with people, and then they mess up what you're trying to make because they won't read a piece of paper, that does cause you to become more susceptible to not believe in people, just to think they're liars and they're going to just keep, sticking you out high and dry. And that's why, outside of my show, if I ever do any kind of project, I have sworn, to never work with them again. If there's other voices, there'll be people I know in real life because I've had my fill. But also with the chick stuff, that's an issue that unfortunately is the way it is because of how long that stuff went on. You can't keep as a collective doing the same thing over and over and expecting a man to blindly believe you're not all the same, or that you won't keep doing this because you know reason X, whether that's, oh, a certain amount of time has passed or any of this other trash that people like to use. But yeah, I would say those two things have both negatively impacted my view of like most voice actors or like most chicks as far as like. And I always say, if you want to hire a woman for a job or for some kind of like thing that is constructive, I have no issue with that. I'm not against doing that. But as far as the romance stuff, I completely accept it. There's just this continuous level of incompetence that I can't put up with anymore. So I always say that it's not something worth continuing with. But I would freely admit that those two things have affected me in some like long lasting way. It's just that you have a lot of people online that will twist that to mean this person has some kind of mental issue. It's like, no, you had a bad experience that kept going on, and gradually you got sick of it. Like if you asked me 9 or 10 years ago, are you gonna keep asking chicks out? Like, yeah, whatever. Because at that time it was only like what, one, two, three that said no, but it just kept going and going. And no matter what you did to mitigate it, it would keep staying the same way. You go and get on some stupid dating website, it's the same result. You talk to more of them than you did before, it's the same result. So you just said, this is really insane. They're not all the same. That's why you get the same result. So yeah, I would say those two things have had bad impacts. I just wouldn't accept a lot of the stuff people online say, 'cause I just think it's so stupid to sit here and analyze the personality of people you've never met before. Because actual psychiatrists know you can't do that. Like actual accredited psychiatrists do not try to analyze people they've never met before. Anyways, let me get into this dumb stuff with these chicks on Discord before we continue. I know Roman is writing something. I can't read it because I have my glasses on. It's too small. All right, he writes, where is it? Many people have reached a point where they're too pathetic to care for themselves, so they go ahead and critique others for what they perceive to be beneath them, even when they are probably better. Incompetence and outright wasting people's time because life now has afforded people to be bored enough to waste people's time. I always give the just as an example of wasting people's time. I always give the example of the woman that I asked out, or rather, I asked for her number at the. It was a mall, and she gave me her Facebook, and I contacted her on there. Again, thinking, well, she must have some level of interest. Why else would she give me her Facebook? And then, I contact her on there just for her to say, I am too busy trying to go to school and get the job for to speak to you. And like, what was the point of giving me your number, your account on here then? Like what? But that's what I was talking when I said there's something wrong with chicks. What purpose does that serve? I've never done that to somebody before, given them a way of contacting me just to tell them I can't talk to them. That's stupid. And everybody knows that's weird. And but this goes back to my thing. I don't know any men that do that to chicks. Every time I hear the same song of person wants to get with someone else, talks to them for weeks or months, and it goes nowhere, it's the woman doing it to the man in every instance. All they do is waste your time. And it's really sad because in a practical society where people actually, had common sense when they came on the internet, nobody would sit here and say, "Oh yes, keep talking to a group of people who waste your time, who won't do anything you want them to do, whether it's it doesn't have to be a date. Some of these chicks won't even have a phone call. No regular people would say, keep doing this forever, you slave of woman. It's just insane. A man's attention is currency to women and vice versa. So they even value themselves on attention they get from people they don't like. Yeah, it's weird. Oh, you wrote something else, but it hasn't popped up on that's weird. That it pops up on one screen, not the other. Of course, that is a generalized statement, so it doesn't. Oh, don't. I hope you not to start doing that. I don't mean all women. So it's just, I hate that you have to say not all every 8 seconds for people to not accuse you of being sexist. I already said before, if every chick did this stuff, I wouldn't even exist because my mother would have just spoken to my dad for like 2, 3, 4 months and then went, "Well, I only like you as a friend. That's why I sat here and talked to you for this long." I told this one broad on Discord, like because you have, she was trying to say, oh, it's a bad mindset to think chicks are liars. I'm like, I'd sooner believe in Bigfoot than like one of them actually liking me for who I am. Like I don't, because I said before, in a hypothetical where if I were, let's say, someone who had 100,000 subs or famous or whatever, and I had a woman come up and try to speak to me, I would think she's trying to use me for something. And that's not a wrong opinion to have. When you look at most gold diggers, that's typically a trait associated with women. Like I don't know any men that only like a woman because of how wealthy she is, or are to where that even factors in. I know some guys they'll date a woman that lives in a cardboard box. They think she's hot enough. So, like the trait of man does all this stuff to either become wealthy or to become, like of high noteworthiness status, as these people like to say, and then random person tries to suck him off to get the attention for herself, is a trait associated with women. They love to be Johnny come latelys. So let me get to this piss cord stuff because I think it's kind of weird. Um, which one should we discuss first? They both are annoying, but I guess I'll go with the one I haven't heard from in a week. So New Year's Day, I mentioned this on another stream, but there's like a little bit of more stuff to add to this other one. I sent this woman a picture I drew, and she said she liked it. She asked me how I was doing. I said I was, irritated. She says, "What's the matter?" I said, I says, I'll read. Okay, Roman, you said man value a woman's society currency versus beauty attractiveness to their. I'm just saying I don't think men in general have the same ridiculous standards of chicks. That's just my opinion. Um, so she says, "What's the matter?" I said, "I don't want to burden you with my issues. I'm glad you like the picture. Have you gotten any rest?" I asked her that. Now, when I say I don't want to burden some of my issues, I'm saying that if I'm bothered by something and I don't feel comfortable telling this random person on the internet about it, I think they should have the common sense enough to just recognize that someone doesn't want to discuss something with them. Like there are plenty of people online who have said, "I don't want to talk about this with you. I don't want to go further into it." And I leave it at that. Like I completely understand where a person would not want to tell someone they only know on the computer all this personal stuff about themselves. So she responds to me saying that with, not, no, not so much. It's been a day. But since we aren't burdening each other with our issues, so she's passive aggressive, right? And then she like barely responds after a while. Uh, and then she doesn't say anything for a whole week. And so I assume she's probably upset because like you can read the last thing she wrote and put two and two together. She's probably angry. But um, she says after, because I admit last time we spoke, you seemed to be angry. She says, "I just was taken aback, but I understand where you and I sit better now. A mistake I won't be making again." I said, "Well, where do we sit? I thought we had an enjoyable correspondence." And she responds, "An acquaintance." Let me do my little thing. "People who talk at each other rather than to each other No need to dig deeper beyond the cores of simply existing. I hate when people talk in riddles, just people who talk at each other instead of to each other. Like, what do you want? So, anyways, I said in response to this, I don't see how we haven't talked to each other if I've been receptive to whatever you would like to discuss. What deeper digging do you want? And then she responds, receptive with a question mark. It's hard to see that amongst the many playful accusations you direct toward me. Receptive is a word that would follow suit with knowledge, but I don't believe you actually know me at all. Whether or not you disagree is besides me. And then I responded, of course, I don't know you. We've never even met or heard each other's voices. Because she's another one of those chicks that has like a weird hang up with doing a call. Like for some reason, it's stupid. It's dumb. That being said, I'm willing to get to know you, which has been the basis of the past 2 months of speaking to you. I am not trying to argue with you. I'm sorry that you feel attacked. It wasn't my intention. And she doesn't respond after that. So we're looking at a broad who got angry because a man she's never met before won't tell her about things bothering him. It's so weird, man. Like, who gets upset over that? Like, I'm sorry, I don't trust random computer woman over people in real life. I apologize. So let's get to the other one. I swear, I like just imagine how weird I would look if someone says, "Hey, look, there's this thing that's bothering me, but I don't," and I say, "What's the matter?" I don't want to talk about it. And then they ask me if I'm all right. I'm like, "Well, I don't feel particularly well, but since we're not talking about things that bother us, like, what do you want?" Like, it's almost as if they want a how to explain it. It's like they want a closer relationship with someone that they have not earned. Like, you talk to somebody every couple of days and like a couple of messages, and then you don't say anything to them for days after that. And I don't know what would convince you that that's someone you need to just know all this stuff about. It's just so weird. Like that's why I said chicks get like relationships with them, whether they're romantic or platonic, a lot of times don't work out because they can get mad over anything. They can get pissed over just the slightest not doing of what they want. There's no ability to compromise, no ability to just have any attempt at course correction. They always will find something to argue with you over, even if it's stuff that has nothing to do with them. That's why we had the one broad that got mad when I was talking about doing a video on that chick that was like lying on me and saying that I made her tell me about her tragic backstory in a call, even though all I did was ask what happened, and then she started relaying this. That's a situation that had nothing to do with her, and she got so pissy and angry about the not even the promise but the possibility of getting contact, like what do you call it, like a video made on this person. Is the connection acting up? Just the issue we need. Apparently not. I don't. These computers are so weird, man. I'm so tired of technology. It said the chat disconnected, so I don't know. I can't wait to play this back and it's like got missing pieces. That'll be real terrific. So that's my luck with this website. Okay, King says, luckily none of my platonic friends with women never been like that. They're rare for sure. Yeah, I'm just kind of tired of just chicks because I said, maybe they're only like this when you have a romantic relationship with them. These are just like chicks I talk to on this site and they act insane. Let me show you another example. So I think it was last week or the week before that, I mentioned this woman who she's like the opposite of the other one in the sense that she's open to having calls, but every time she has them, she's playing a game. Like for whatever reason, she cannot just talk to people in a and it could be just you and her in a call. It could be you, her, and another person. It could be you, her, and 11 other people. She will barely speak, and if she does talk, she's talking to herself while she's playing the game. So, like, imagine you call me and you're trying to tell me about like what's I don't know, the news, and I'm like, oh man, I missed. Get back here every time. In every instance I've spoken with her in a call, she's always playing this stupid game every single call. So, and it's gotten to a point where now I don't even want to hear her voice. But here's the flip side. When you message her, she'll respond to what you're saying. She's like 9 times out of 10 receptive to what you're talking about. It's so weird. It's like, why can't you be that way when we speak voice to voice? It really is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You got Jekyll, what in the VC not saying anything, but then when he's typing stuff, it's all responsive. So it's weird, just oh my god. But anyways, let me go into the stuff that happened with her and how insane it is. So the first instance of her being just weird to me was when I made a joke. So sometimes I like to rhyme. And I was like, "Oh, this is my last reply to you. I now know you are not interested in speaking to me and would rather." And then I make like puns on her name and then send her this rhyme, right? Because I've sent her some rhymes in the past. And she says, "Are you being serious?" I'm like, why would I like? First of all, if I want to unfriend somebody, I would just do it. I wouldn't write them, a warning or like a final farewell message. But secondly, what person who is serious about never speaking to you again would write you a whole song and like make puns on your name? Like it was so obvious it was a joke. But look, that if you want to say the joke didn't land, whatever. That's not as bad as the subsequent thing. So sometimes I send some of these people some illustrations that I've done, right? And they're always like I should mention they're always tasteful. Like sometimes I'll draw myself just looking into a camera or some other person in real life that I'm you know friendly with. Um, but it's always PG stuff that you could send to anybody. You know. So I asked her, and again, I got to preface this by saying that because you'll see afterward. Um, where is it? Uh, where is this message? Oh, okay, here it is. I asked her, "Would you get mad if I drew you?" And her response, right, is, "Nah, as long as it's not lewd, obviously," which is really, weird to me. So I go further. I said, "You really think I would draw you lewd? I've never drawn a real life person in any form of undress. The closest was when I drew myself with my shirt off and with the sword in my chest to symbolize when one of my relatives cut out my heart and left me bleeding." And then she responds, "Oh geez, I don't think you would, but wanted to state it anyway." Now, if you don't think somebody would do something, if you genuinely believe they would not do something, why do you have to state for them to not do it? "Hey King, I heard you're going on a date. Make sure that you don't rape the woman." "I don't believe you would do that, but I just felt like stating it anyway." You don't see where that's and remember, every illustration I've sent her, and I will go in those DMs and show you they're always fully dressed people. It's just like regular vanilla stuff. I don't draw porn. It's just so weird. Like, where do you even get that in your mind? You're like, what's wrong? And it's like, imagine if just flip the situation, okay? Imagine if there was a woman who was an artist, and every time she sends me a picture, it's like a drawing of a person smiling or standing around. But every drawing is PG. It's stuff you could send to anybody. There's nothing explicit about it at all. And then one day she's like, "Hey, can I draw you?" And then I say to her, "Oh yeah, as long as you don't draw me lewd, obviously." Why the hell would I like? Do you see where it would make no sense for me to believe that someone else, like this person, right, who every time they send me an illustration, it's always PG, is going to flip the script and draw me naked or in some lewd, whatever lewd means. Do you see where like that doesn't make any sense? Like, how do you even begin to think that? Like, how does that make like? How does a logical person believe that someone who every time they send them an illustration, it's always PG stuff that you could send to anybody because none of it is explicit, is now going to draw you naked, or that's like a thing in their mind to do. It really does piss me off, and it goes back to my thing of how it's a matter of precaution as much as you may know. Dude, listen. Well, it makes even less sense because if I drew her naked, you really think I would send that to her? I don't know how it makes any sense to even think that. Remember, every drawing she received from me, and if you don't believe me, I can go in my DMs and show you all of them, were people fully clothed, either shaking each other's hand, hugging each other. I don't see where you would think what reasonable, and like I said, if the situation were reversed and and a woman asked to draw a picture of me and I said, yeah, don't draw me, I would look like a lunatic. So I'm not going to sit here and accept it. That doesn't make any sense. It's another weird, stupid thing that courses through chicks' minds because they think every man that talks to them wants them. So I'm not gonna I don't there's no part of me that is empathetic or understanding of that. It's stupid, it's dumb, and it's ridiculous. And she's very lucky I didn't unfriend her right after she wrote that trash. Why do so many chicks always think every guy is just only interested or thinking about lewd stuff about it? I'm gonna ask her point blank. Do you think and it's even weirder because I have the message where she said there is no romantic interest between us. It's like, so if you believe that, why do you think I would draw you naked? Like, what a buffoon. That's why I said I'm just so tired of them. Like every time they always screw up decent dialogues. You get like you show the one broad where she gets mad because I won't tell her about private stuff relating to myself, right? Then you have this other one who thinks I'm gonna stop speaking to her after I send her a joke that's very obviously a joke because I've never had someone who stopped speaking to me write me a song and like make puns on my name as they're doing it. And then like not even a week after that, oh yeah, you can draw me, just not naked. Even though you've never sent me a single drawing you've done of a naked person, so I have no reason to believe you would actually do this. A matter of earning trust is all. Yeah. I don't know how you defend this. That's incredible. It's not even a romantic interest. They are still acting weird like that toward you. Megumi, I will swear on the grave of every ancestor and relative I have not made any overt romantic passes at either of those chicks. I haven't asked either of them on a date. I haven't said, oh, I think if we get to know each other, maybe we could go out. None of that. Because I'm done. But that's why it's even weirder because now you're seeing how they can still make interactions with them miserable just based off of exploiting any tiny little thing. Like I've had plenty of people tell me they don't feel comfortable telling a person online, such and such about them. I go, okay, fine, whatever, you know. But then with this chick, she gets passive aggressive, and then starts, you don't know me at all, like whatever, like okay, then unfriend me. Both of them have one more week to do this stuff, and then after that, I'm finished because this is stupid. I look at the Kotsky merchant show being the 11th hour ranger, showing up after the fact. No, there is no romantic interest on like I said before, I'm always down for whatever. So if one of them was making moves or something, I'd be open to it. But as far as like me trying to initiate, no. Like the last time I asked out a woman like just said, "Oh, can we go on a date?" Something like that is like 2 years ago, if not even or later than that, or longer than that. Why can't she just understand that, respect her decision, and move on to something else? Remember what we said about how like people think you're supposed to be the woman's slave? So if she has something that she doesn't want to tell you, she doesn't have to. If you have something you don't want to tell her, you have to. She really didn't need to be like that toward you. Yeah, but that's what they do. They get mad over anything. Pointless verbal conflicts are such a bother. It's like if you're mad about don't water your breath and just go away. Don't waste your breath, just go away. But I don't know anyone that would get mad over someone saying I don't want to tell you personal things about myself. Someone that like doesn't know you. Told you people want men to be women's slaves. They got to do everything they tell you to. This is really insane. And then the other one, oh, Megumi, I know you're going on a date. Uh, let me think of a joke. Make sure you don't molest the woman. Not, I don't believe you would, but I just felt the need to state that. Akatsuki merchant, I know you're going to a liquor store. Make sure you don't rob the store and kill the cashier. I know you wouldn't, but I felt the need to say that. Prying people like that are weirdos. I steer clear of people like that at all costs. Well, hey, she hadn't acted like that before, so that threw me off. It's like, what in the world? You're getting mad at me for saying I don't want to tell you personal. All right, whatever. I remember there was this one chick that I was talking to about maybe I think that was 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. And she was supposed to have a call with me, and she like didn't make the time or something. And I went to go see a movie, and then only when I'm sitting in the theaters about to see the movie, she finally responds back. And I was like, oh, I don't feel bad at all because this person like had something scheduled me and then didn't meet the schedule. Like she stood me up. And then like a week or two later, I get a DM from her where she says, you probably have figured this out, but I'm underage and I think it would be better if we don't speak to each other anymore. You're a great friend. Sorry. And then, unfriends me. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I didn't feel bad about not speaking to this person. What was that, 2 weeks before? Because what you talk to this person, have a conversation with them, and then a couple of you see where it's like waste your time. Like, what was even the point of getting to know this person if they're just going to throw you in the trash like 2 days later? I don't know. I'm always kind of on edge with a lot of these internet correspondence because and it's even weirder too because I said before I don't have any kind of like that thing in October or September with that broad I recorded. That's an outlier. I don't have explicit dialogues with chicks, like, so that was why that was even weirder. Like, okay, this person's underage, but I had no way of knowing that when I first started speaking to them, and even besides that, there's nothing explicit about what I said to them. So I don't feel bad. It's just kind of weird because it's just like a thing of what was the point of getting to know this person if they're going to throw you in the trash after 2 weeks. Well, it would be justified if you wanted to get rid of her, especially since you know how quick most chicks in general would really get rid of a guy and block. Yeah, exactly. They find you amusing for a while. And then Akatsuki Merchant says, I don't even bother with these kinds of people. Uh, no, James, on Piscord, you don't know how old anybody on that site is. You know that. But like I said, I mitigate it because I don't have explicit dialogues with people unless I know they're an adult. So it's just I don't the point I was making is this person stood me up to have a call, and then like a week or two later announces, "I will never speak to you again." So anyway, so what was the point of even caring that you didn't talk to him? Yeah, Kotsky Merchant says, "I don't even bother with these kinds of people. They're massive cyber bullies and aren't worth any recognition from me." And then what did Megumi say? Completely unnecessary and uncalled for. I didn't want to talk to James after I found out he has Bryan Singer's autograph framed at his house. Talking about he's one of his top three directors. But yeah, on that site, there are a whole bunch of underage people. It's just really weird because it's like there was another chick that did that a couple but it was weird because she was an adult and she was like, "My parents don't think I should speak to you. They don't want me talking to people online. I hope you understand." I was like, I don't. Again, I don't bother with these people. Like, how worthless of a human being do you have to be to just dispose of people like that? Not even worth a bottle of piss. That fellow isn't worth a bottle of yellow. James, I know you're going on a. Let me think of another example. I know you're going to the zoo. Make sure you don't steal any of the animals. I know you wouldn't, but I felt I had to state this. They are so lucky. I'm like pretty forgiving. I'm really just close to just unfriending both of them. That really did piss me off. Every time she got a drawing for me, it's always PG stuff. I could show every drawing I've sent her and I wouldn't get in trouble with YouTube at all. That's how tame it is. And it's like she's insane enough to even have that be a thought in her head. And that's why when Roman when King was typing earlier, I said if the situation were reversed and a woman asked me if she could draw me after every drawing she sent me has been PG and like no lewdness at all, and I said, "Oh yeah, just don't draw me lewd," I'd look insane. So it's more of the egotism of chicks than anything else. I said before, you can look at other instances with them in the past, like with Triple L and her. Oh yeah, I know you didn't say anything romantic to me, but since you have male genitalia, I'm gonna write you a warning. Just stuff like that. They always believe somebody wants them. Like all of them just think you have some. It's like when you speak to them, they believe you're initiating your master plot to get them to. It's like I don't care anymore. And I could show all my messages. There's no romantic stuff at all, which is why it's even more bizarre that they're acting in this like really obnoxious, annoying way. I'm gonna get mad because random person on the computer won't tell me about their personal life. Ugh. I'm still thinking about that one clown that wrote. What did he write? It would serve you better to not expect so much from someone after believing in this broad doing this because she said she would do it. Well, women are more sexualized than men. Not saying you do that. So often men drawn lewd, aren't drawn lewd as often as oh, get out of here, man, with that. I already told you about that one teacher I had that said, "Oh, chicks have their appearance criticized and men don't." And then every time I go online and do a romance video and it gets enough views, I have men calling me ugly and talking about the way I look, even when I don't talk about the way chicks look at all. So I don't. I'm done with this gender role. Oh, this form of oppression makes it make sense for this person. And no, I'm not. No credit. because I know if I did this stuff to people, it would look insane. Yeah, not expecting someone to do what they said they would do. That makes a lot of sense. Magumi, imagine if I told you I'm gonna stream on Monday, and then I don't stream on Monday, and then that clown is like, "I sincerely hope you find a channel that will stream when you want. It'll serve you better to not expect so much from someone." It's like, oh, he only expects this because I told him I would do it. It's like, for example, what is it? Warner Brothers said they were going to do a Green Lantern movie in like, and it would come out in 2020, right? And every year since then, I've been pissed that we haven't got another movie. And it's like I'm upset because they told me they were making that movie and they never did anything relating to it. Seemingly, there was no filming, no cast announcements, no principal photography, like nothing. Just it. They just said this movie will come out in this year, and then they let it get to that year and nothing happened. I mean, women are crapped on for expressing their frustrations with me. Yeah. I don't see people telling chicks that express their frustration with being sexualized that they're going to shoot up a school or that uh, they're too ugly to get a man. I don't see that. I don't see whole groups of chicks who talk about how hard it is to get men to like them. So I don't buy it. Men do get crapped on their appearance as well, and they rant about it all the time. That's crazy to think just because you're a guy, that lady was like, "Yeah, he automatically wants me." Yeah, they believe that. I have the message where she said that 99% of it was like if a man how did it go? It was some of the effect of if a man messages a woman, it's either to do some kind of project or to get like because he's romantically interested in her, and 99% of the time it's the latter. So she believes that 99% of the time, if you message a woman, you're trying to get with her. So I said, "No, why even bother with them? If they always think you want them, when you do nothing to infer this, there's no point." I just don't feel bad for chicks. I really don't. If dudes didn't hype women up so much, there would be women ranting about being unattractive all the time. Like I said, I don't see any whole groups of chicks that are talking about being unable to get a man to like them. Like you can come and say that, but every time I see someone complaining about not being able to get a partner or a person to like them enough to go on a date, it's always a man. If dudes didn't hype women up, would you like to see all the screenshots I have of men saying, "You need to go to the gym. You need to be wealthy. You need to do X, Y, and Z." I don't know what you call that. I don't see chicks having to jump through 99 hoops to get my attention. Dudes are desperate for any attention they get nowadays. Dudes all the time talk about cherishing their first compliment from a girl. Guys are deprived to the point they do anything to get. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that, but I don't see where I should be sympathetic toward a group of people who have everything handed to them. If I made a video calling women, like taking women's pictures and calling them ugly, you would have random men come and defend me and say, "Hey, that's nasty. Why are you doing that?" But if people come on here and say nasty things about the way I look, there is no defense force. Yeah, I joined a political server on Discord and I got a strike out of nowhere. I didn't know why. So I DM one of the mods asking her why I got the strike, and she said it's because she wants to make sure men aren't going to harass her, make advancements. Well, see, that's why I said, what's the point of even being around them if they think every single person whatever. Let me read the rest of what you said. Advancements towards women in their server, like, oh yeah, dude, I'm gonna hit on a girl in a political server. Yeah. I told you they think every time you message a woman, it's for some romantic trash. Even if you say nothing romantic, they believe it. Women don't expect sympathy half the time anyway, so why they confide in other girls for support? Oh, don't try that faux unity thing where like you try to say that chicks are not expected. Dude, we can go on Twitter and I can show you 99 different messages, and I'm not being hyperbolic of chicks talking trash about other chicks. They either call another one ugly or stupid. There is no like unified woman thing at all. They talk trash about each other just as much as men talk trash about each other, if not more. That's hilarious. Hell, I told the one story, and I think I can still get those screenshots where there were those two broads that were like talking trash about Scarlett Johansson. I'm just thinking to myself, you hoes are just mad you never will even be able to lick her dirty high heel, because they were saying she was a bad actress and talking about the way she looks, and I didn't like that. So you get the idea that I don't believe they have some unity, and they go to each other for support. Hell, the broad that said, "Oh yeah, you're going to like I don't believe you would draw me naked or whatever, but I'm going to say this anyway." I can show you the screenshot of where she said she doesn't even talk to other chicks. Like what unity? You better believe I left that server right then and there. I called that mod an egotistical, worthless rube and blocked her. Well, yeah, because they think everyone wants them. I'm just so tired of these damn people. They always think like that's why I said, what's the point of even talking to them? What is the point of talking to a group of people who are so egotistical that they believe any individual that happens to have a penis wants them romantically? You can say nothing to lead them on. You can say nothing of the sort. If you just happen to be the opposite sex and you speak to them for like more than 8 seconds, they believe that. Like a triple L, she was talking about how on Tinder, a site where it makes complete sense, think somebody that contacts you is romantically interested because that's the point of the website. But she was talking about there was guys on there that were asking her like explicit stuff like do you do anal, for example. Um, Again, that makes sense to me when you have a person who DMs you and every time you talk to them it's about the news or some other topic that has nothing to do with romance or any of that trash. You look like an egotistical clown. Women are, it makes sense because they are more. I don't care. If someone doesn't lead you on and gives you no hints and you just think because their gender they want you, it's stupid. Well, I don't boost their ego. I don't have any of these dialogues with them. That's why it's even weirder that you literally say nothing to incentivize these people to believe that you want them romantically, but because of their ego, they think you want them romantically regardless. Well, you're of the opposite gender, so you must be attracted to me. So I just think chicks should just be on like a separate plane of existence. Like I really, unless I work with one of them on a project, I just think that should be it because they're like nothing good comes out talking to them. It's really insane. Dudes do boost their ego, but not so much. Just to be fair and realistic here. Yeah, I don't boost anyone's ego. I don't compliment them over and over at all. They are an endangered species. That's why. Well, hell, let them go be protected or sought after by someone else. Just like I don't see why you have to waste your time with a group of people who, first of all, are not are not fun to talk to because they can argue with you over anything. Secondly, they're not funny. Like I remember a lot of people were talking trash about my personality. Like they're like, "Oh, you probably are this or that." It's funny that out of all the chicks I've spoken to, I have never laughed at a single one who told a deliberate joke. The closest is if they curse with their little goofy accent, and maybe that'll be humorous. But like an actual joke that one of them tried to tell, I've never laughed at a single time because they're not funny. Which again, you shouldn't have to be for someone to like you, to enjoy speaking to you. But it goes back to that thing of how people when they want to crap on a man so much, they take these random broads and they treat them like they're gods among men, right? Like, oh, they're so humorous and they're so interesting. But no, most of them are just whatever. They're just getting attention from men because you're desperate. That's it. So it's really sad that they act this way and people treat them like they're so interesting. Only thing that usually makes them interesting is they have a tragic backstory. It's really sad that things are this way. But like I said, society regularly undervalues men, which it's free to do that as a collective, but don't tell me that I should care to some large degree about random chicks that don't give a damn about me at all. It's so weird. Like, oh, you should keep speaking to her. Why? So she can find something else to get mad about and then disappear for another week or two or three. I was really impressed and like I had two conversations back to back with that woman that she ruined. Like the first one was her thinking a joke was serious, even though it has all the hallmarks of a gag. The second, like when I read I didn't read the poem I wrote on here because it's like it has her name in it, her username. But when I read that poem to my best friend yesterday, he laughed. He's like, "There's no way someone would sound that humorous in a poem that is meant to, cut off speaking to someone. It would, just like they wouldn't even write one to begin with." Um, but like the dialogue after that is where she, a day or two later says, "Oh yeah, you can draw me, but just not lewd." It's like every time you talk to them, they find a way to ruin it. The biggest contributor to why girls slash on the way they are because of how they're socialized. Men don't have the free range women have nowadays to just do whatever just because they're a boy slash man. People defend irrationality in women slash girls way too much, and it's why they tend to be the way they are toward people for the most part. Right, but why do I have to put up with it? Like what contract did I sign that I have to sit here and because of the way they are socialized now entertain their ridiculousness? Akatsuki Merchant says she tried sending her friends after me, and one of them said I should never call a woman worthless because all women have inherent worth. Listen, if you believe someone is not good or does not, contribute anything to society, you are free to call them whatever you like. Because I'll tell you this: people would have no problem online calling you whatever they would like. So you should be able to say it right back to them. And like I said, man, if there's some man in jail because he molested somebody or killed a kid, like I'm not going to say that person has inherent value. They're awful. They're a piece of garbage. But that's why I said men don't have like this weird ascended status where just by being male you have people that care about you. It doesn't work that way. Like just because of your gender, people care about you. Not that we don't have that. It's just really sad that they act this way. No, don't ever believe that someone because of their gender has inherent value. There are a whole bunch of worthless men. There are a whole bunch of worthless chicks. Remember that guy that said, I'm a mediocre man because I'm not with a woman? You know, like that person's more worthless than anybody he ever encounters usually. That's why he has to say stuff like that. Because remember, if he was really as important as he tried to sound, you would know who he was. That's why I said don't feel bad about calling people on this website out of their name or insulting because they have no problem doing it to you. And yet that one bimbo, be the bigger person. No, if people treat you like trash, you give them the exact same thing back. You know, there should be no reason that you have to pull your. They act like you're Superman, and these are like random pedestrian people. Like you have to pull your punches, metaphorically, of course, when you have them like do nasty things to you. I don't believe that. I think if someone does something screwed up, they should not be able to control how you respond to it. Yeah, you get what you gave, just like Eddie Murphy's dad used to say. And if you didn't give nice, you're not going to get nice. Just like I don't regret making a single video on any of these chicks because if they can throw you away like a piece of garbage and deny you what you want, you should be able to do a video talking about screwed up what they did was. Actually, women have been worshipped for their existence historically because of their natural gift to birth life. Men have to earn value through being protective contributors and providers. But see, this is the problem. You're using historical context for a situation of like if you ask most chicks, you want to be treated equally, they would say yes, but you can't have an equal society where one gender is worshipped so goddamn much that you're expected to do all this stuff just to appeal to them, and the other one can just sit on their behind, and because they have a triangle, they have people like constantly throwing themselves at them. So you can't use historical context for modern women who claim they want to be treated equally but have no problems getting these like because you and I would never see 5, 10, 15 chicks messaging us online every year to get our number or like it wouldn't happen. I just you can't say you want equality and then abide by this system. I hate the fact that men get shamed for not being able to be chick magnet and women are guilty of shaming men for it too and wonder why men are obsessed with the idea of becoming that. I just think chicks in general are overrated. I think they're overhyped. I think they really do not have any more in here. Because by the way, for that birthing thing is BS. Because a lot of chicks don't even want to have kids, and we have polls that show that they're having less children than ever before. So, like you can't again hold on to these antiquated views for modern women. Women want equality when it works in their favor. Remember, and too much evidence. Yeah, but that's why I said I don't see a point in interacting with a system that is both hypocritical and heavily slanted in favor of the other gender. I don't see where that's appealing to me. Like the same group of people, these chicks who will say they're tired of men always asking them out, are the same group of people that I'm told I should ask out by these guys in the computer who usually never prove they've been with the woman themselves anyway. So you can't keep giving someone nothing and expecting them to do everything to get someone to like them back. It doesn't work. That's why I said if I was serious about like trying to get something romantic with a woman, whether it's a date or intercourse. I would just go pay a hooker because I don't. I'm really tired of the like hamster wheel game of the same thing happening year after year. Like I wouldn't talk to like I'm not. I'm gonna just stress this point. If I one day decided I am sick and tired of getting the same result from chicks, I want to date or I want to have intercourse because they always accuse men of wanting that, even if you don't care about it like myself and never talk about it. But anyway, I would not talk to any broads on the computer. I would not talk to any chicks in real life. I would just go up to a hooker and pay one, and that would be it. Like it's really sad that people think a man would actually do all of this elaborate stuff, and that goes back to the ego of chicks because they know what hookers are, but they're so egotistical. They think that like they're so special as to warrant you doing all of this stuff to appeal to them, which I never would because it's too much effort for too little reward. Yeah, that's always an option. And it's an option where you don't have to worry about, oh, does this person think I'm hot enough? Oh, does this person feel this way about me? None of that nebulous crap. If you pay a certain price, you can get it done. And that is way more preferable than these mind games and having to figure, just this all it's way better. And you can get mad, you can say, oh my God, you only care about women if they do what you yeah, okay. But it's all just a natural source of being tired of getting the same result over and over and wanting to see some results. Like I'm not even joking. I would rather pay three hookers than talk to three chicks. If I'm serious about getting anything romantic. Because with them, if you pay a price, you get it. And again, people can get mad, but maybe if it weren't so difficult to get the slightest bit of attention from one of them, this wouldn't be something that was seriously considered. I think every guy is just out for wanting intercourse when you can easily have it done for a price. Skip this constant BS from chick. Dude, it's the stupidest thing because if you, especially with these foreign chicks, you know how much it costs to go to like a lot of these different regions. Like the one chick was in Argentina. If I wanted to go see her, that's how many hundreds of dollars, maybe 1,000 just to go see her. Like it costs more to see her than to pay a hooker. Because usually the hookers max out like a couple hundred, but some of these chicks, as far as they live, it would cost you $1,000 or more to go see them. And when you go see this person, they're not going to come back with you or agree to marry you. It's going to be one date. It's lame. So sorry that, even like basically geographically, it makes more sense to pursue hookers than these chicks on the computer who are all over the world. Because remember, it's always the guy that has to shell a bunch of money to get, anything to actually make it happen. Like you would never see a chick that lives in another country come and fly to see you because she's so into you. Never. So it's really sad that people think someone would do all this stuff for something so simple. Something that costs a lot less when they have someone that they know in real life do it or that they've met in real life do it, as opposed to a computer person. But like I said, people don't think when they come out and they rush these conclusions, like it's like diarrhea of the keyboard, just type in whatever to see what sticks. All you wanted was a date. That's it. So people coming on here just to say you just want intercourse is crazy. No, it's them being intellectually lazy because when you can't address the point somebody makes, and you can't explain how it makes sense for someone to have to wait 10 years to sit across from someone at a restaurant or a movie theater for an hour or two and the person never has to do it again. You have to make up all this crazy stuff about what their real motive is and who you think they are at behind the screen, all kind of weird, irrelevant crap because you can't accept that there is something wrong with chicks when it comes to romance. They have some kind of issue that is so present in them that men have to talk to so damn many of them to get the tiniest bit of results, and to where there's whole groups of men that talk about how impossible it is to get with one of them in the first place. Oh yeah, luckily all of that never phased me. I disagreed. Anyone telling me to go about dealing with relations with women when they haven't had to deal with those around. I already said before, these guys that come on here and tell you to keep trying, they've never even, none of them ever proved they're with somebody. That's like the running gag. Every time somebody gets on the keyboard and starts typing, you should do this, you should do that. Never proof that they've done it themselves or that they're with a woman, ever. Out of all these guys, not a single one has ever, out of all the ones that give that unsolicited advice for the last however many years, not a single one has ever proven they're with a woman themselves. Not one. They love to say women don't owe you anything, but then you owe them everything. You owe them uh, career success and your own house and whatever type of car. Like, what is this? That's why I said this stuff starts to seem like a parody. Like people will actually type to you in all serious. Like remember the guy that said, "Go do 500 push-ups a day." When I read that comment, I thought it was a joke. But these men have allowed chicks to destroy their minds so much that they think you're supposed to do extraneous things like that, just again for the tiniest bit of reciprocation. And that's still a maybe because they still might not be interested after that. Like you don't think a man that goes to gym gets turned down ever? And when they admit that you doing this stuff still doesn't guarantee a woman, it's like, okay, well then why am I doing this? And you saw Tony talk about it's to give yourself the best chance. Like, dude, listen, if you have to get muscles or exercise for someone that's never lifted a weight, that never does whether it's running, fit any type of fitness, she's not worth it. Like it's not hard to figure this out. Doing all this additional crap for somebody that doesn't do any of it themselves. You have to have 1 million subscribers for somebody that doesn't even have one. Like that makes sense to you? That's appealing. It's weird. So if women don't owe me anything, what's the point of putting in all this effort to court them? There is no point. It's just to waste your time and for them to keep what's the word? What is it? A litmus test to keep giving you a litmus test that you're never going to be able to pass. Because like I said, when you go and do all this stuff and you still can't get a woman, the new narrative by these guys is going to be, oh my God, there's something wrong with these chicks. This man did all this stuff and they still don't like him. What is wrong with it's going to be, well, you probably did this. You probably did that. Anything we can say to defend a dingbat because it's always your fault. Every time. It is false hope. You're trying to appeal to a group of people who don't like you and who don't like plenty of other men, which is why there's whole groups of men that talk about how difficult it is to get a woman, who are not all the same. Some of them do exercise, some of them do have their own play. And it doesn't like no matter how different we are from each other, we get the same result. And we're told if we just do this or do that, oh, it'll change. It is false hope. It's false hope. It's a pipe dream. It's a scam. Remember, when you have one group who has to do everything to appeal to the other, and another group who has to do nothing to appeal to you, that's how you know something is screwed up. It's like a lot of these chicks can't even have a phone call, and you're gonna tell me that, oh, if you do this, they'll go on a date. Yeah. How's that one rhyme go from that? What's the Jack Frost movie? You're joking. You're joking. I can't believe my ears. Someone shut this fella up. I'm drowning in my tears. Yeah, it's a big scam. Do all this stuff for someone that, if they actually like you, would like you if you didn't do that stuff. James, you think if you saw an attractive woman, you would go, I wonder what kind of car she drives. I wonder if she's wealthy. I wonder if she exercises or has a six pack. You would never do it because your standards are nowhere near as high as the ones that chicks have for men. It's not the same. That's why there are no groups of chicks talking about how hard it is to get a man to like them. That's why chicks don't go out and ask 90 or 100 or 200 guys for a date because they don't have to do all this ridiculous stuff to get someone to actually be interested in them. It's really sad that we're just expected to be their subordinates that put up with all their BS. Anytime someone criticizes my love life, I always No, I can point it back to their failed attempts at a trump card. Yeah, it's just a stupid like there's so many guys have this issue that it's like a joke to even like I remember I had this one conversation with a relative where they were saying that this is like 5, 6 years ago, and they were like, "Oh, it would be weird, because you're like people would say it's weird that this man never had a woman." It's like, yeah, but when you go online and you see how many people have been affected by this, it's not really out of the ordinary. So it's just really sad that people they still try to use this as a stigma when there's a whole bunch of guys that have the same issue. They perpetuate the victimization and coddling of women all the time, even when they're the problem. I told you if the situation were reversed and it was chicks getting rejected left and right by men, like just where they have whole groups, nobody's gonna say, "Oh, these women need to work on themselves." People would say these men have standards that are too high. These men might there might be like a new epidemic of homosexuals. They would do whatever it takes to make you look like there's something off or wrong about you. I'm not saying there's something wrong with being gay, but just that would be something they believe because of how many men are turning down chicks that they are trying to speak highly of by saying that we should find them attractive. If this hypothetical played out, they would look for any reason to make it the men's fault for like being so overly selective that there's whole groups of chicks you know having this issue if it were reversed. You have some right-wing people too that believe in the like I don't want to turn this into that because I'm not interested in having another like I'm really not trying to have political debates with people. I'm really tired of just like arguing back and forth with someone, even though neither of us is going to change the other person's mind. But you have some like people who describe themselves as old fashioned. Like, I can't believe you would talk to a woman this way. I can't believe you put your hands in this way. Like I don't care if they talk to me a certain way, they get the same in return. You can't expect that just because of your gender, if you do something screwed up, you won't face a consequence for it. Oh dear, that reminds me of that one chick you consulted to about the problem with, and she accused. Yeah, that was on this one advice like self help website I used to visit. She was like, maybe you like boys. It's like, yeah, that makes total sense. Like again, if we flip the script situation, you would never see a woman who gets rejected by men like over and over, right? A woman that just keeps asking out men because she's attracted to them, be told that maybe you like girls because someone else doesn't find her attractive of the opposite gender. You see where it's just like just stupidity. It just comes off in waves. Can't believe you got so offended. You damn right I got offended. Say things that make sense. They love to perpetuate this crap, and then they'll turn around and go, why are virginity rates among men skyrocketing? It's because they're tired of being demonized. Well, that's why I said I don't know what people want because it's apparently a bad thing to ask out chicks because they go online and complain about all the men that ask them out, but then you're supposed to still keep asking them out. So I'm supposed to keep participating in a fruitless task that does nothing for me and only serves the purpose of reminding me of how all these chicks are just exactly the same as each other, like stormtroopers, and boosting their egos. I can't wait to talk to this woman and be part of her 30 men circle jerk of guys trying to get with her. Woohoo! That's why I just learned to arguing with somebody is completely pointless because you're not going to change that person's mindset. Like, well, a lot of people in there are some people in real life who've tried to, I guess, speak to me about the romance stuff. I just let them talk to themselves. Just like I don't even bother saying anything because they don't listen. They don't care about any kind of facts or logic that you have. If they have a belief that, oh, if you just keep trying, eventually, just then, yeah, I'll just let you see how year after year it stays the same. It'll just speak for itself. I don't even need to say a word. Just sad that people can't think critically anymore. It's really disappointing. Because, like I said, 5, 6 years ago, I used to believe. You just keep asking them out, one will say yes, but just year after year, whether you ask them out in real life or on the internet, stayed the same. I was like, this is stupid. This is going nowhere. My relative tried to use her anecdotal experience as why it's hard for women to get a guy to be interested. But I told her, but does that apply to most girls outside of yourself? Convo ended there. Yeah, because they know they're full of crap, especially if they haven't experienced the same or similar experience as you. It's not worth giving them the benefit of the doubt. And then James says they just never experienced it. Megumi says far too many people just lack empathy. Well, that's why I said, I'm someone who relayed this experience to other people, and it's like this is not something that just is normal. Like if you look at any other period, that's why I said my dad, did not have to talk to 90 chicks before he met my mother. It's so stupid that people actually sit here and expect you to put up with this forever. Same thing with my grandpa. He didn't have to talk to some number of chicks he couldn't count on one hand or count on was it two hands before he met my grandma. So it's just a like really ridiculous dumb thing that people like to say because they expect you as a man to just be the woman's slave to just put up with all of her trash. And a lot of these chicks can't empathize with it because they get attention from men like that. So when you say, "Oh yeah, I've had such a difficult time getting with the one," it's like speaking a foreign language to them. They'll never know what it's like to sign up to a bunch of dating websites, to DM a bunch of different people, all hoping that at least one of them, it doesn't have to be two, it doesn't have to be five, but one out of those 10, 20, 50 says, I like you back. They'll never know what that anguish and frustration was like of getting the same result year after year. And being told that, oh yeah, someday somebody will like you, and then every year it's the same thing, just repeating itself, to where you just eventually stop believing it'll ever change. And people keep telling you, oh, they're not all the same, they're not all the same, they're not all the same, but they sure as hell keep doing the same thing. And then as you see whole groups of men with the same issue, you have these clowns, and sometimes they're chicks, most of the time they're other men. There's something wrong with you. You're doing this wrong. Then why are their whole groups the same issue? They don't know. And they love to say women are justified in thinking men are trash. Here's something my therapist told me that stuck with me. That was really funny when this one chick was like, "Oh, don't say that you like." I remember I read something somewhere where they said, "Don't tell someone you have a therapist." And I was thinking to myself, you know how many chicks are mentally ill, like just have mental problems, one of the chicks has ADHD, another one has bipolar, one of them has both of them. It's like you. And again, I'm not saying any of this to suggest that that person can't be a good partner, that you shouldn't speak to them. But like why do we act like chicks are normal? They're not. Like they're all these sane individuals. They have all kind of undiagnosed issues, and some of it is diagnosed, and they're well aware of it. Just because you can understand someone's motives doesn't mean that it's okay for them to treat others badly. Or no, we have to sit through their season long tragic backstory so we can empathize with them and you know understand why they're doing what they're doing because that's going to make it so much better. Like again, in movies, I like developed characters. That's why I'm a person who champions the Thanos prequel because I think there's a lot of stuff with that character that I wish we could have seen. Um, and like a lot of times, I do like it when they explain why is this person. But in real life, I don't care if someone does something screwed up. Then that's it. Like if someone goes like this one guy goes out and murders 35 people, including 2 children. I don't need to know about how when he was a kid he was mentally ill or he didn't have friends. Like I don't care. He did something screwed up. End of story. Just like imagine if I, because people like to always say you're going to do this, but like imagine if I went out and hypothetical, attacked a woman, didn't kill her, but assaulted her, right? Do you think anybody would care about how, oh, year after year he got the same result and he tried so hard and he gave it his all. No, they would say throw away the key, he did something evil. That's that. And even if they did think that, they shouldn't. Like we don't need to delve into all these people's past because it's irrelevant. When you do something screwed up, that should be the end of it. God, man. Everybody has a tragic backstory. It's so annoying. No, they turn real life people into anime characters. It's like, oh, this guy just stabbed this person and slit their throat. What he did was bad, but first we have to figure out, like, how his mother treated him, and if his dad threw him out on the sidewalk, and he saw his dog get run over by a tow truck. Like, I don't care. You do something screwed up, you get called out for being screwed up, and that's that. People always want to like be so empathetic toward bad behavior. They always do that. It came out a few years ago. Oh my god. Okay, let's get back to this. Uh, Roman says there is so many women who just aren't right as a person, but they always blame it on something else besides themselves. Newsflash: women can be bad people too. Well, that's why I said I don't feel empathetic toward them on pretty much because like the thing is when people are not empathetic toward you, um, just as an individual, there's no reason that you should be empathetic toward them in general. Like if there's some woman that gets just an example, like I know in real life that gets attacked by someone, I say, oh yeah, that's screwed up. But like, oh, the plight of women has been so like I don't care. I like you're not going to make me feel bad for generalizations when you as a group have collectively refused to acknowledge me as an individual. So it's just it's not you're not gonna you can't ask for such a high amount of empathy toward me, but then give me, none in return. Let me see when this thing is playing. Always have to remind myself where this is. And it's always the same old stuff. What in the world? Um, like, would you accept a white man being racist towards a black man because in the past he had bad experience with black people? No, so why is it okay for him to do it to men? Again, it's just a stupid thing people use to treat chicks like children. They get to act like awful human beings to you or me because nobody cares about men. That's all it boils down to. I think the whole thing's really screwed up, but what are you gonna do? Just a lot of that women's stuff just is so nuts. Like people act really nasty for no reason. When you start telling somebody that they have to have some mental issue or there's something wrong with them just because they're not with another person, I think that's extremely disgusting. Men's plights are disregarded so much, then they wonder why you're not empathetic to all people, everyone else's problems. They practically condition boys and men this way. Yeah, when you treat a whole group of people like trash and expect them to treat other people with all this empathy and concern and compassion, it just doesn't work because you've alienated them based off of the disgusting way that you've disregarded them beforehand. Like I said, people just they always find a way to like treat someone bad, but then expect something good from them. I could never say all women are trash because that would be diminishing the women in my life. Like, but Akatsuki Merchant, no, we have never said it's all chicks. That's why it's so stupid to have these straw man clowns come on here and say, "Oh, you are trying to be sexist." It's like we frequently admit that not all of them do this, which is why there are some people who have, even today, good relationships, but it's too far few and in between. The hypocrisy kills me sometimes. I lose so many brain cells. Yeah, this is the hypocrisy era. Rules for thee, but not for me. That's why you have a woman that's never exercised and she'll be like, you need to go to the gym to impress me. It's weird too, because I don't even really see regular chicks like demanding that. It's mostly just these guys that are like talking in their place. It's really funny. If any chicks did this, I'm certain none of us would exist to this day. Yeah, because we couldn't. It would be too much. What do you call it? Um, I always give the example like if my dad went up to my mother and after they spoke for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, she said, "Oh, I thought I was interested, but I'm not. I just got really confused, or I don't feel that." Then yeah, I wouldn't exist because they when you have ridiculously high standards on top of getting a real kick out of wasting people's time, you just it's not going to go anywhere positive anyway. Certainly for not for the man. I mean, the woman gets what she wants. She gets the attention, but you end up having to reboot and start with another woman on the hope that it won't be the same thing over and over. The same thing that it's always been. I know I'm saying that because I don't get how they could say all men are trash, considering a lot of these women have brothers, fathers, grandfathers, uncle. Yeah, they're just because they're sexist, incompetent buffoons. That's all it is. There are plenty of Akatsuki Merchant. You've seen the political stuff. There are plenty of chicks I defend all the time. Collins, Murkowski. So I never say it's all women are garbage or any of this stupid stuff. It's just when you have you know, this issue that affects so many men, and you're supposed to believe that this is only a couple of chicks or some of it's like, no, it's too many of them. Well, I think I rationally believe they'll turn for the worse because when you get the same result from a group of people over and over again, year after year, it's very difficult to not be convinced it'll be the same thing just repeating itself. Or if it's something different, it's got like a bad motive behind it. Like, oh, here's a woman that's talking to you now that you have 100,000 subs. She definitely is not using you to get more attention for herself. So yeah, a lot of my faith in them is just not as high up as it could be because it's just the way they act. Like you treat somebody like garbage, and then you expect them to be nice. So this stuff drives me insane. I don't know what's wrong with people. To think all the men are all of a sudden turn evil is such a trash way of thinking at that point. Then men have every reason to call all women deceptive harlots. Well, like I said, they always try to say that men view women this way, but chicks view men in awful ways as well. They say nasty things about us in general. That's why I don't feel bad. You can't expect one side to always have to like pull their punches and mince their words, and then you get to just run all over the place saying gross stuff about them. It's not fair, and it's really centered around one group getting everything they want and the other one just having to put up with it forever. Oh, yeah, I was hoping I would go see this movie, but I guess not. They have a 115 showing, but it's the 8X, was it HD or um whatever that thing is. It's some like higher quality showing that costs a little bit more, so I guess I'll just go to that. I don't feel like waiting until 3 o'clock. But to think all the men are all of a sudden okay, even to people they claim they love, like their brother, father, close friends, like at that point, leave all men alone. Yeah, I mean, if you think everyone is just a demon, then just go away. I think a lot of these chicks are evil. Like we had the story about the woman that was stalking the other woman for 8 years because they dated the same guy. And I had this person ask me when I was showing the video, "Would you date this one?" I was like, I don't think she looks unattractive at all, but if you sit here and get somebody else that's not bothering you fired from their job and you're like digging up all their personal information to mess with them in real, I don't want to be associated with someone like that. So I just simply said to him, I don't date villains. Again, that's just my personal standard because this woman has a husband, so clearly he didn't mind her being creepy. But I do, so I don't want to be associated with that because I don't date villains. It's like, oh yeah, how appealing. Let me date this person that is digging up all this other person's info and getting her fired from her job and won't leave her alone even though she's doing nothing to her. How appealing. It's like a Mortal Kombat fight where your opponent gets 4 free hits at the beginning of the battle. I just don't know how anyone is even able to attract these chicks anymore. Like, if you have to do all that stuff just to maybe get a date, that is insane. Like, sometimes I really think there's like an alternate universe where someone went online, read all this advice, and did it. And then after they did the advice and didn't get the results, they just went insane. Like they're like sitting in like with the was it a straight jacket? The romance thing is your twilight zone for sure. I think the VA thing is another example that's like all these voice actors, you know, and we can't get what 3, 4, 5 to do a show, really. I think those two things together are the Twilight Zone. They act really insane. Logic is out the window. What logic? They don't believe in reason or rationale or anything that of any type of common sense. It really is like an endless cycle. And I told you, don't listen to any of these clowns on the computer. It does not get better. In a lot of cases, it only gets worse. Because if you ever have chicks come up and start asking you out, which will not happen because chicks don't ask out men they find attractive, and we know that to be a fact. You should be mindful that depending on what your status is, they may have ulterior motives. You don't think you'd be suspicious if after years of getting nothing from chicks, just having your time wasted over and over, suddenly they start asking you out after you become wealthy or are famous online. You don't think where you would be like, yeah, I don't really like the implications of this. You don't see where that would make you still think there's something wrong with them, that you have to do all of that just to get a little bit of attention from them. They clown you for trying and clown you for not trying, so they can all go back to the Twitter cesspool. Yeah, like it's bad to ask them out because chicks are tired of being approached. Eventually, yeah. Well, I'm not even gonna believe that. But it's ridiculous. It like you ask them out, it's a bad thing because they don't like being asked by men they don't find attractive. But it's also bad to not ask them out, according to these guys on here. So you just can't win. Let's go, Johnny come lately. When they get older or they have, but again, why do you have to date someone with kids if you don't have any? I'd love for someone to explain that to me. Why do you, as a single person who barely got any goddamn attention from a group of people who you kept being told were so different from each other, have to date someone who has a kid or multiple kids with another man? I'd love to know why that's like your burden to bear. Why you need to hold the cross for what someone else did. Like, I'll just say it again. I don't want to date a woman with kids. Sorry. You can get mad, you can cry, you can say, "Oh my God, his parents," but like, no one would feel that any type of empathy toward me if I came on here and you heard some crying child in the background and I was like, "Oh man, it's so hard to get a date." People are like, you're a dad. You should be taking care of your kid, not trying to get your banana wet." Like no one would feel sorry for me. So why do you have to feel bad for these chicks? Like, but that's why I said it's always the man having to accept the woman for whatever status, condition, position she's in, and then no one is sympathetic toward you. I definitely won't be dating anyone with kids anytime soon or when they're desperate. You shouldn't have to date someone who has kids, but again, there is a lot of women who choose poorly and expect a cleanup man. But you shouldn't. Yeah, the cleanup man should not be you. It's just like that's why I said there's like nothing appealing about romance for men anyway. Like a lot of these chicks that talk to you and show some interest have ulterior motives. A good chunk of them will just ignore you or like not be interested, but not after, not before speaking to you for weeks or months and having it go nowhere. And then it's like the only group of people you can actually depend on to do what they say they will do are hookers. So it just doesn't seem appealing to me. They're going to be cleanup men, which is why women think they'll get one as well. Like I said, man, if I had a kid or two or three, and I was like, "Oh yeah, when's the cleanup woman coming around?" People look at me like I was insane. Chicks get away with everything. They can make any type of mistake, and somebody will be there to hold their hand and tell them it'll be okay. They get all kinds of like just man. I'm so sick of their free passes. Hey Megumi, if you have a kid, no, say goodbye to having a love life. Right? No woman will ever want you, but you should totally date the woman with three kids if you don't have one or two or one, because she might be a good person and she might have just made a mistake, and you have to accept that she made a life altering decision that can affect her and anyone that she gets romantically involved in for the next 18 years or more. But yeah, you should definitely, give her the sympathy that you would never receive in return. And sadly, the day of when men stop lusting over unworthy women and won't come in our lifetimes or the next, and so on and so forth. I once dated a woman who had a kid, but she didn't expect me to do anything for the kid. I still bought the kid a toy because I thought they were adorable. I don't know. I just like kids. Listen, I don't have a problem with children, but there's something screwed up about the idea that a man wants to have a family, right, with a woman that around the same age, slightly older, whatever. And you can never get one who agrees to go on a date, much less actually have a family, because they can't even go on a date. They refuse to do that. So the closest thing you get to that is some weird situation where you start dating some woman and she happens to have had a kid with some other man who can be lured by the dad to not treat you as their actual father, and creates like a really confrontational, bizarre dynamic that just isn't appealing. It's just not. It's who looks at that and says, "Oh yeah, this is exciting. I like this." You think that's right? That's something you look forward to. That's what you envision for yourself. Like, oh yeah, I can't wait to not start a family of my own, but have to wait until a woman who has a kid with another man agrees to go on a date with me, and then maybe I'll be able to do it that way. You see where that's like, again, very off-putting. Like, who wants that? It's sad that people act this way. People always expecting a man to compromise, but when you tell a woman to, they'll refuse, but then get in relationships with men they don't really like. Yeah, because getting men to like them is very easy. But that's why I said men don't have as high standards as chicks, which is why there are plenty of chicks that you or I don't find attractive who still have a boyfriend or a husband or some other male that is committed to them in some type of way. Um, and it goes back to my saying of how you can look at this even further and say this is why you don't see groups of chicks talking about how hard it is to get a man, because they don't have this issue. I know, right? I can never imagine a chick accepting a guy if he already had a kid to take care of. I'm sure it was more common years ago, but certainly not in these times. Well, um, I don't know if I want to share that on here. Yeah, I'm not going to say it, but I know one person who had a kid with another woman, and then they got married to a woman. But this was like 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Um, it's just really difficult to believe that modern chicks who already have ridiculously high standards and have shown their double standards would be accepting of you for being in a situation like that. Because I said before, modern chicks do not care about the majority of men they talk to. So to accept someone in such a, like, roundabout way, I just don't see happening. Because a lot of them can't even accept you if you just don't agree with them on something, or if you one time say something they don't like. So I can't see them being all right with this other facet of your life. And I think if that rule applies to you, it should apply to them as well, which is why I will not date a woman with a kid. Again, you can't keep treating someone like trash and telling them they have to adhere to these ridiculously high standards, but then at the same time expecting them to put up with this type of stuff as well. The dating scene is a disaster, and I won't know parts of all the messiness, and I can't stand hearing anyone else's issues they could avoid if they actually chose a if they actually chose better. Dude, it's like you have some chicks that are what's a good example? Have mental illnesses, physical disabilities. I talked about the one chick I tried to date that was blind. Stuff like that is usually out of their control, right? When you have a child, unless you were molested, you allowed someone to stick their, generally speaking, unprotected banana inside of you. You had options to get rid of it if you didn't want it, and whether that was abortion or having it but then putting it up for adoption. So there's plenty of things you can do to avoid having it, and they still do it. So I just like it of any precondition a woman has. That's the hardest one for me to accept because there's so much that went into that before you even showed up, and like it's too ridiculous. Like you're not going to get me to believe that a modern chick will accept you for that type of stuff. I don't buy it. Like I think if I was blind or in a wheelchair, you would see even less chicks be interested because they're just a bunch of shallow bastards, overwhelmingly anyway. So if they wouldn't accept you for, they're so bored with with their lives, they create problems for themselves and with issues that they could have avoided. Exactly, it's way easier to avoid being a parent than being disabled, you know, or having some mental condition. Way easier. Oh, I know this one woman, she got her tubes tied, so I don't even. That's why I say I don't buy it. I don't know. It's just hard for me to get excited about chicks. I just think a lot of them are there to waste your time. And people can get mad, they can cry, they can say, "Oh my God, you're so sexist." But I'm just tired of the same thing over and over. Like it's really crazy that people expect you to just put up with this, ad nauseum until the end of time. But I don't believe they should get any type of sympathy that you would not be allotted. I don't think that if I was blind, I'd have a woman be interested in me. I don't think if I was blind, if I was crippled, like I was in a wheelchair, I'd have one be interested. If I was just anything you can think of, because they're not accepting of men. They're not. And again, it's not all of them. We have to keep saying that because I can show you some examples through history of chicks that were like accepting of a partner that had some kind of condition, but overwhelmingly no. I was thinking about Christopher Reeve's wife because I remember that um he after he broke his back by falling off the horse, she stopped riding horses because she thought it would make him feel bad, and only started doing it again after he died, like 9 years later. And that was someone who's stuck by him for the rest of his life after he was put in a debilitating condition from the accident. So you have a person like that who's very rare and almost doesn't even exist, in the modern era. Which is why I said that there are some that will do something, but very seldom. Because remember, you look at all the stuff they tell you to do to get with one of them, and it's like, do you really believe if you were in a vulnerable position, you could trust a woman to be there for you and to support? No, you couldn't. Like I said, I know guys that will pay for a woman's like the storage unit person I told you about. Um, the one that was like pretty much every time there's a financial issue a woman has or a partner has, and the other person's paying for it, it's the man paying for the woman. Which is why I said they don't serve any utility. They're just a waste of space. I mean, like you can get mad, but they don't do any type of thing that is of any consequence in a beneficial way to almost any man they encounter. Like I'm very serious when I say I have not seen a single couple where the two individuals were younger than 50, where the expenses were taken care, like the man's expenses were paid for by the woman. If the woman buys anything for the man, it's usually some BS like a shirt or some crap, but like actual stuff that almost never. I'd sooner believe you'd have Martians come down to to like Earth and be like, hey, we've been watching your videos. We'll help you with this thing. We feel like you can bridge the gap. You'd sooner see some extraterrestrials come to your aid than chicks on Earth. I really could see that. Like, there's a movie where some guy keeps asking chicks on a date, and they keep saying no over and over, and then he's like, "All right, well, I guess just gotta go to talk to chicks in another country," and it's the same thing. And then like the subplot are these alien chicks that are like paying attention to him, and then they come down and he starts dating the alien chicks. That's how desperate men are gonna get. Like they were talking about sex bots, like, no, we gotta go to these other planets. Let's go talk to some chicks on Neptune. I tell you, I'm so done ever believing in broads again. Like just as far as like for dating, that's over. After that trash last year, mm-mm. There's plenty of dudes who go above and beyond, and women will think they're using it as leverage rather than, I don't know, actually liking or loving them enough that men don't mind. Their minds are warped. Yeah. You know, because chicks have a thing where they're like, men think just because they bought you something, they own you. It's like, oh, you guys don't buy the man anything other than ridiculous crap. If he it like I remember the one chick, I don't want to say which one it was that I offered to well, this happened twice. There was one I offered to move in with so she could to like help her pay her rent so she could actually save her stuff, whatever. And then the other one where she has a car but like didn't pay the lease on it, or and it's like $200. And it's like I offered to pay it. You know, it's like at least with stuff like that, it's actually things you need. You know, but you would never get that back from them because nobody cares about men. Don't forget, women believe they're the gift. Like, get out of here. Yeah, what a great gift they are. Getting mad at you for no reason, depleting your resources. A real lovely gift. I told you, man, I've never asked a single broad for any. Like the only time I've ever asked one for something is either a call or the one time I tried to get one to do some like voice work for me. But like actually like a financial, no, not a single one. It's always the chicks begging the man for money every time. That's why I said I just think modern broads are just such like a parody of themselves. Like every time I hear about be falling in love and being with some, it's just it's like a joke. I think like I believe the majority of romances um, that people like to contort as being a thing you'll get are BS. I don't believe you'll actually receive those things even if you get a partner. So you can get mad, you can say, "Oh, you're something," but I just don't buy it because every time that appears to be the case, you get one of two results. You get the person to say, "I'm not interested in you," despite all the time they spent talking to you, or "I only like you as a friend," some platonic friend zone trash, or the gold digger option where they're trying to like use you for something. So it's always camouflage. The same thing over and over. All the hard work to prepare a family just for them to feel like they can do better because the spark died. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, man. It's like you go and marry a woman or you date a woman and she agrees to marry you, and then like what, a week, a month, a year later, she's like, I just don't feel it anymore. Like, they can't commit. That's why a lot of them can't even have a phone call, much less a date. So I said doing all this stuff to get one of them to like you. I just think it's insane. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's really goofy. I think it's really frustrating anyone that values their time. And it's just not something that I would be particularly interested in doing anymore. Again, if other people want to do it, that's their prerogative. I'm not like these guys come on my channel. I don't get mad about other men's love lives because I don't really. It's not something I care about. But it's like just it's really frustrating. And I don't blame people who are sick of chicks because they're just an irritating group of people to be around. Doing so much for nothing in return. What kind of brainwash is that? I really would love to see like somebody make a cartoon where there's like a guy that does a bunch of exercise and becomes wealthy and like drives a sports car, like, but like you see him like doing all this stuff, right? And at the end of the movie, he goes to sit across from this broad. She's got like no, her car is a bicycle. She's in like a little tank top. He's got his little suit on, and like you hear this triumphant music. And as he sits down and looks at her, and like just stares at her, he's like, "Wow, all this for that?" That's how the movie ends. Oh my god! Imagine doing all that stuff for a date, doing so much for nothing in return. I really could picture that. There's a guy that drives a sports car. He's got his suit on, the muscles, whatever, and then the woman's like she drives a bicycle and she's got the little tank top on. Like, so that she going to bed and she shows up at the restaurant. But see, that's the kind of stupid stuff that happens when you tell one side they have to do all this stuff to impress the other, and the other one is good just because they exist. Completely uneven trash like that. Couldn't you see that happening in real life where there's a man that does all that stuff for a woman that did none of it, and it's like it's supposed to be fair or equal, or like he's supposed to feel somehow gratified just to be in this person's presence, like that is insane. And they tell you if you're not risking it all, you're not a real man. No, just rather be safe than sorry. Logic seems rare nowadays anyway. Give yourself the best chance. Magumi, can you say that as a movie where it's a guy in a suit and tie and he has this sports car and muscles going on a date with a woman who drives a bicycle and she's wearing a little tank top and she shows up in like her flip flops and like you see that she's never exercised. Like, when you don't think that could be like a funny ending to a movie, like of how screwed up all the stuff a man has to do just just to get a date? Oh my, expecting you to be grateful to even have a girl respect you. Oh, please. I told you we need to just stop calling them women, just call them gods among men. Because that's all people treat them like. We need to see that. Oh my God. That needs to be like a SNL skit or some kind of cartoon. So that needs to, like someone needs to make that like an actual video where it's the guy in the suit and tie with the sports car pulling up, going to the restaurant, and then the woman pulls up on her little bicycle with the tank top. So much stuff for so little reward. That is insane. I told you if I came on here and said, if you want to go on a date with me, you must have a six pack and own this, and I would look insane. But like it'd be funny. It's like the post credit scene after like the date starts. He's like, you know what? This is not worth it. And then like she's like, what are you talking about? And then he just gets up out of his seat and leaves. Like just he realizes in the post credit scene, all this stuff I did for someone like this isn't even remotely something that was worth it. I already told you if you actually become wealthy and then you only try to date chicks that are wealthy, people are going to say your standards are too high. Remember, anytime you have any kind of like specific desire for something in a partner, standards are too high. Only if you're a man, though. By the way, I really want to make that like a little cartoon video, like just you see the guy exercising and talking to stock, buying stocks or whatever in the business meetings, and he's like going up the ranks or whatever. And then he finally gets a date, and like as he pulls up in his Lamborghini with his suit on, the woman pulls up in her bicycle with the tank top. Oh my god, that's so accurate. Yeah, it is. Dude, I told you that like nobody cares about men. Chicks are allowed to just treat you whatever kind of way they want, and you're supposed to just put up with it forever. It is so insane. I hate it when people think you should be grateful for crumbs. I either get what I deserve or you don't get any commitment at all. They really think you deserve that. Like you're supposed to do all this stuff for someone that doesn't do anything to appeal to you at all. It's like, yeah, this sounds fulfilling. This is great. What a cartoon, man. I swear. I've hated when people think you should be grateful for crumbs. Uh, okay, I read it already. But look, I've been on here for 2 hours. I'm gonna try to go see this movie. It starts in like 30 minutes. So um, I hope you enjoyed the stream. Hope you were entertained by the stuff. And again, it's just I'm just tired of chicks. That's all it is. It's really annoying that even when you try to not be romantically involved or like interested in them, they still act stupid. So we'll see what happens with these other two, but I'm not feeling too great about it. So see you. Have a good rest of your weekend.